What's up, everybody? Coming back at you with part two of my three-part plan to reform the OCGOP. And today is a special day, not a great day. Actually, yesterday technically would be the most inauspicious, if you will, of days. As of yesterday, 8/6/19, Orange County is no longer a red county. Orange County's voter registration numbers have now tipped far enough that we are no longer the majority of registered voters here in Orange County as Republicans. Now, this is something that many people like myself and people I've worked with in the OCGOP have seen coming for a long time. The party has ostensibly destroyed itself. The inability of the leadership to recognize what is happening on the ground, to adapt to changing political climates, and to basically stick to a message or any message based on issues whatsoever has led voters to leave the party in droves. I know a large number of people who would be philosophically conservative or libertarian who should identify with the Republican Party, who are no party preference voters now, because they're just sick of it. The OCGOP is full of corruption and ineptitude, and the CAGOP, the state party, is probably the most ineffective Republican Party in the nation. So us in Orange County, those of us who are Republicans in Orange County, are in a bad spot, and we are on the eve of an election, and ultimately a lot of voters are trying to figure out what has happened, why has it happened, and I hope to shine some light on that. The first point that I would want to make in that world is that oftentimes when you hear people say the Republican Party is losing ground in Orange County or has now lost its foothold in Orange County, it has to do with demographics. And I don't like that. I don't like that as a response. I don't think that that really covers what we're talking about in any way that's effective, and ultimately leads us to a place where we don't have any real answers. So if you were to break that down, to say that we're losing the Republican foothold in Orange County because of demographics is ultimately to say that we're giving up our philosophy, our ideas, the ideas and philosophy that we believe to be the right answers, and chalking it up to race. And this is a bad time to be talking about race. It makes people very, very upset. There's people out there calling each other racist, doing terrible things in the name of racism. And this is a much more subtle form of racism, but every Republican who says that needs to understand that what you're saying is that you believe that the Republican message, the message of liberty, the message of freedom, what the Constitution stands for, is unavailable to people who are not white. And that's just absurd. If you believe that to be the case, I don't know what to tell you. And I sure as heck don't want you supporting or voting for me, because the philosophy that I hold, the philosophy of liberty and freedom the Republican Party is supposed to stand up for, applies to all people and is available to all people and needs to be communicated to all people. So for you to say that demographics is the issue is ultimately a cop-out. It's not really the problem. If we were running on the issues that Republicans should, if we were talking about the platform and the issues that are ahead of us, and we were then endorsing and electing representatives that reflected those issues, I believe we'd be in a much better place. Now, you'll secondarily hear people say things like, well, the voters are changing and younger voters, it's not about race, it's about age, it's about, something other than that, but it's still that our message somehow doesn't apply to people who are not already part of our ideas. And that's just false. We need to be out there having these debates. We need to be convincing people that our position is ultimately right, regardless of your race, your age, anything like that. And the Republican Party in Orange County and California, and honestly nationwide, are failing at that big time. So one of the three ideas I have for the Republican Party here in Orange County to help reform, the first one I've gone over, which is all votes need to be official. They need to be written down. They need to be recorded. They need to be researchable. We need to be able as voters to go to the Republican Party of Orange County's website and say, here are my 6 people who represent my district. How have they voted? Who have they voted for? Who are they supporting and why? And when they make bad decisions, we need to be able to hold them accountable. We don't know what they're doing. None of this is being recorded, so that part of it's gone. The second part is a little bit more bold, and they will become more bold as I push on into the third idea, which will be in another video. But my second order idea here is that we need to eliminate the elected officials that are members of the Central Committee. So each assembly district elects 6 people who are supposed to ostensibly be representatives for the Republican Party on the Republican Party of Orange County. They meet once a month, sometimes more than that, to talk about what it means to be a Republican in Orange County, vote on issues in the form of resolutions oftentimes, and more often than that, endorsements of candidates. And so what you have is, instead of having 6 people from each district that are concerned citizens, people who are there who are hoping to work in a watchdog fashion and to keep the elected officials accountable, is you have 6 people who are already elected officials themselves in a lot of cases, or the majority of them are. They are members of your water board, they're members of the school board, community college district, city council, you know, all of those things, all the way up to positions even as big as board of supervisors and the district attorney's office, the actual district attorney himself, actually. So it's very difficult for us as voters to hold these people accountable when those people are the people holding themselves accountable, or should be. Obviously, in my opinion, they're not holding themselves accountable. We are electing, or attempting to elect, and are endorsing terrible candidates who do not hold up to a platform, who cannot stand up to any kind of critical scrutiny. And the only way that they're able to get in these positions of power is because their friends who reflect them, who think that this is all fine, who seem to not care that we're losing the county, can go ahead and scratch their back scratching, lots of favors being done. We need to get them out of that room. We need to make sure that each one of those 6 people in the Central Committee sitting there each month are regular voters. They're citizens. They're people who are concerned, who are not in the game to advance themselves. So I know this will be difficult because it will upset a lot of people. And there are some really good people who are elected, who are on the Central Committee, who, if my idea does get enacted, and I hope that it does, are going to have to give up their seats. And we're going to have to figure out some solution as to how we fill those seats later. But those people, those elected officials, should be going to Central Committee members and lobbying them for their support and making sure to educate them, to make sure that they're voting for them for the right reasons, because they are coming up with the right answers. And that would be just fine. I have no problem with that level of influence. The level of influence that we see now lends itself to too much backroom dealing, too much that's being laid out. We get Central Committee meetings that are not really meetings. They're not really votes. All of this has already been written in before we get there, and it just becomes a show. It's a performance. So number 1, recorded votes. Number 2, all elected officials. I don't care if you're dog catcher, you're on that water board, you're on the community college school district, you are the DA yourself. You are not to be in that room, because the people in that room need to be free to hold elected officials accountable. So thanks again for joining me today. Let's all keep 8/6/19 in our minds and our thoughts, because this should be a huge wake-up call. We do have another Central Committee meeting coming up here soon. It will be the first one, obviously, since the county has turned. I would very much like to hear from the executive board, from Fred Whitaker himself, exactly what they will be doing differently now, because they have to. We have to do things differently. We cannot keep doing what we're doing, because obviously it's failing absolutely astronomically. So my name is Nick Wilson. I'm running for the 73rd Assembly District for Central Committee. I'm not an elected official. I am a citizen activist. I am very, very concerned about what's going on. Ultimately, if you are in the 73rd and you are a registered Republican, I'd love to meet you. If you're in the 73rd and you're Republican leaning and you're not registered as a Republican, please register as a Republican so you can vote for me. I'd love to talk to you about that. I'd love to talk to your friends and neighbors and anybody else you can connect me with. I will speak to them in person. I want to make sure that this message is getting out, that people are networking, and that we're able to make some kind of an effort to push back. And ultimately, I want people to run. And that sounds crazy. Nick, you're running for office. Why are you trying to recruit competition? I am. I'm absolutely recruiting as many people as I can in every single assembly district to show up, get those 20 signatures, which is all it takes to get your name on the ballot. Get on that ballot, get out there. Let's start putting this together. Thanks so much.